I'm going to be creating this little sushi slots machine. Of course, your slot machine can entail any character you want. You'll notice when I run it that I can see my three little windows here. We're going to call each of these windows a reel. And when I spin, the characters within each reel are going to be changing. If I get a matched pair, it will indicate that I've got a pair. And if I get three of a kind, which is really hard to do, it's going to note that I've got an all match. The first thing we need to do, though, is we need to get a little folder together. And my folder is called Sushi Pics. And this folder contains the 7 images that will go on my slot machine. So each image I named according to what it is. So this is Sushi 0, okay? This is Sushi 1, all the way down to Sushi 6. Note that I start at 0. So I have a total of 7 images. You can use fewer or more, but it seems to work especially well with about 7, but please start numbering at 0. Don't start numbering at 1. Okay? Put all your images into a folder. Notice that they need to be fairly small. If you look at the file size, these are about 27 to 43K. The actual physical dimensions are quite small. This is about 1.8 by 1.28 inches. Again, I want to keep my file size small so that the images load up quickly and I can change them rapidly so that they appear to be showing a lot of different images at one time in the slot machine. So get your 7 or so images together, put them into a single folder, name them. So for instance, if you're doing dogs, dog 0, dog 1, dog 2, etc. And close that up. From there, what you're going to do is in your slot machine, I'll just start a new file on this real quickly so that you can see how I did it. What you're going to want to do is in the design mode, drag over an image. I size this a little bit smaller. You can actually do it right here. Type in something like 80 by 80. And then once you've got your correct sizing, duplicate it so that you have 3. If you want, instead of doing your images horizontally, you can do them vertically. Up to you. If you click on any one, you can drag it around. You can also use the arrows on your keyboard once you have everything set if you want to make some finer adjustments. From there, we're going to need to get the images actually onto, the pictures actually onto these image icons. We want to first, though, make sure that we know which one is which. Obviously, this is 1, 2, and 3. And really naming things is important when you're programming. So instead of this being image 1, I'm going to change the ID to reel 1. If you see something like this happen, don't panic. All you need to do is swap back over to code mode, then come back to design. Make sure that name saved. Come over here, instead of image 2, reel 2. And my third one, reel 3. So I've got reel 1, reel 2, reel 3. Go to the first one again. And right now, I've got no image selected. Select choose, upload a file. And I want to find that little sushi pic folder. Here it is. So I'm going to upload my first item, which is sushi 0. Okay. Upload a next item, sushi 1, etc. And so you're going to go one at a time and upload each of your images until you've got all of your images. Once you've got them all in, then go ahead and just pick any one of them and choose it and stick it on. Okay? Now again, you've got all 3. I could actually have just duplicated this. That would have been the really smart thing to do. But you can go through the process now. Now for reel 2, go ahead and put the image in. You can pick a different image or you can pick the same. It doesn't matter. Choose it. Go to the third reel. Choose an image. Okay. So that you have some sort of starting placement. You can see where everything is located. Okay. Reel 1, reel 2, reel 3, and each of these is wearing an image. The images are uploaded into the assets, and you can upload all of your pictures from your folder to go there. Okay. Next, I'm going to need a text label, and my text label is going to be showing whether I've got 2 of a kind, which is a pair, or an all match. So I'm just going to drag it down here I'm going to make the text a little bit larger. Up to you as to how much. Make sure you drag this edge over a bit, because if you put all match, that length of that text is going to get long and you don't want it to cut off. Okay. You can change the background color if you want. I'm not going to, but I'm just going to change the text to status just so that I know whether it's indicating whether I've got a pair or an all match of all three. Next, I'm going to drag in a button. I really don't like this mint green color, so I'm going to change the color. And again, I'm going to adjust the size of the text on the button. I want that font size to match what I had on the other one. I think I had 20. And you can change the text color if you want. So this gets you the three elements that you need: your images, your status label, and your button. I do need to actually go back and ensure that I've identified these properly. For my status label, I should call it status label. And for my button, I'm going to call it something like spin button. Okay? Reel 1, Reel 2, Reel 3, status label, spin button. Okay? Now, the next step in my graphic design, actually, let me tell you one more thing. Instead of this just being called Screen 1, just click on the background of the screen. You'll see that it identifies the screen as a whole. Screen 1 is really not descriptive. Let's call it Play Screen. Okay? Even though we're not going to have any other screens in this particular game, it's just appropriate to name it something that's meaningful. All right, now, for the next step in our graphic design, what we need to do is create a really nice looking background for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen capture, so that's Command-Shift-4, of this area. Okay? And that's just going to drop that on my very junky desktop, but you can see that it dropped it right there. And I'm going to open up a new window, and in that new window I'm just going to go into Google Slides. And in Google Slides, what I want to do, you've seen I've done it here previously, but just let me open a new presentation and do it for you again. I'm going to drag in, get rid of these, drag in this background I just made, okay? Or I'm sorry, this interface of my emulator. And what I want to do is I want to create my background that's going to go into the slot machine background. So select a shape, such as a rectangle or a rounded rectangle. Make it so that it mostly covers that whole background. Okay. Initially, let's make it transparent so you'll be able to see what you're doing. Go up to the top. You can make that edge any color you want. It can be red, it can be black. Anything that sort of matches your overall theme. You can adjust the thickness of the edge. Okay. And that will be sort of my overall background. Ultimately, I will want to fill this in, I think, with some sort of a color. Let me hold off on that just for 1 second. What I want to do, though, is create an additional box that will go around these three little characters on my reels. So let's repeat that process. An additional shape, just like this, go around the three. And it's important that you've really got your three generally spaced where you want them. You can, of course, always move your reels back in App Lab, but generally get this spaced where you want. So I'm going to make this line a little heavier. Again, I want this to be red. Initially, I'm going to make it transparent. Let's see, that looks pretty good. And then I really do need some lines in here. I want to click here. If I hold down the Shift key, it'll give me a straight line. And that needs to be red. Okay, and that needs to be thicker. And then I want to copy and paste that line. Go right here. So really just make sure, regardless of where these are positioned, where your little characters are, make sure that the window is just right, because you can always adjust a little later. So I can move this guy, for instance, a little left, but just make sure the overall window looks right, and it does now. Okay? I do, however, want to color this and fill it in with something, I don't know, attractive and slot machine-y. So I will need to go back and fill this in with white. And there we go. So I think that's going to give me the overall interface that I want. I can remove this part, right? That's that background now. And what I'll do now is do Command-Shift-4 and actually screen capture this. You're welcome to leave the white around the edge. What I may do is just open this up in preview, grab my little magic wand and take that outer edge off, cut it, and then save it as a sushi slot background. I'm going to take the spaces out just because it doesn't like to see those spaces. I'm going to put it into that nice little folder with my sushi pick so I remember where I stuck it. Let's save that. Okay, go back over to App Lab, and on that background, I'm still on the background, right, play screen, go to Image, choose an image, let's upload a file, let's get that sushi slot background, choose it, and there we go. Isn't that cool? You can always change the background color that goes behind the whole thing. If you want to make it black or red or purple, anything you want. And now you can also see, though, that I do need to adjust the positioning of my little sushi guys, but there they are. So that gets you through all of the graphic elements, the graphic design elements, and all of the naming for our slot machine project. And the next video will cover how to actually code.